Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. In an open field of Cappadocia, in 55 AD, a man named Saint Matthias was dragged in chains by a group of men into the middle of a desert valley to be stoned to death. The leader of the group tore his necklace from his neck. The pendant was in the form of a storagram. The leader spat on it and threw it on the ground. He urged the other men to stone the man. They all picked up stones from the ground and started to hit him brutally. He fell down and was clearly unconscious and possibly dead. The leader then picked up a larger, broader stone and raised it above his head to land the final blow. Before the final stone was thrown, lightning began to crackle overhead. He threw the stone and smashed his head. It is now 1209 AD, and Europe is now dominated by Christianity. Crusaders are launched to recapture Jerusalem, on faith alone. Ireland lies far from the Holy Land. Norman invaders loyal to King John of England struggle to conquer the island. Deep in native Gaelic territory, a remote monastery shelters an ancient relic. In Kilmainham, west sea coast of Ireland, a boy named Brother Diarmid, also known as the novice, is gathering mollusks by pouring water on the beach, watching them pop up, and grabbing them. He curses in Gaelic when one of them snaps at his finger. He is accompanied by a man known as the mute, carrying a yoke with 2 baskets on it, wearing leather boots to the knee, breeches, and a shirt, and he seems to be collecting seaweed. The boy muses about the first people who decided to eat these things, and what they were thinking, and speculates about the purpose of animal life, as he has been instructed by Brother Cahill to believe that the purpose of animals is to serve man. The two abandon the beach and start walking over the dunes, when they see a group of 3 men, mounted on a crest, looking down at them. The novice immediately breaks into a run, hurrying back to an area further inland, where we see a group of monks, gardening and tending to animals, around the ruins of a complex of buildings, or the remains of some kind of pagan monument, it's not entirely clear which. The novice informs the monks that he sees riders. Meanwhile, the mute, apparently unconcerned, catches up. Someone asks which clan they are from. The abbot, the head of the monastery, whom the monks call Abba, asks all those present if the relic has been moved. They inform him it hasn't. He tells them to stay calm. Later, they pray in a group in a stone hut. They are singing Salve Regina, a Marian hymn sung at Compline. The boy is standing in the back row, right in front of the door, and he turns around. Through the door he can see both the mute doing something with an animal, and one of the riders from earlier, a Cistercian monk in the customary white robe, getting down from his horse. The Cistercian walks towards the praying hut, and falls to his knees on the paving stones, kisses the ground, and advances toward the monks. Later, Geraldus and the abbot stand out on a promontory toward the sea. The abbot notes that they don't get many visitors who've traveled as far as Geraldus, who says papal authority knows no limits. Geraldus gives the abbot a rolled up piece of paper that purports to be a document from Pope Innocent III, commanding the monks to undertake a pilgrimage to transport their holiest relic to Rome. The monks reluctantly agree, as legend tells that the relic's holy power will destroy any not pure-hearted enough to possess it. A handful of monks set out, including multilingual Brother Kieran and novice Brother Diarmid, accompanied by a mute laborer. As the group is caught in a rainstorm, the golden reliquary is struck by lightning, but shows no damage, further reinforcing the notion of its mystical power. Ireland, reeling under successive Norman invasions at the time, is a dangerous place. In fear of Gaelic Irish warriors, Geraldus leads several monks to a Norman encampment, led by Baron de Merville, who believes that assisting the pilgrims will enable his forgiveness for atrocities committed as a crusader, in service of the church. The monks are disgusted by the violent nature of the soldiers, especially the Baron's son, Raymond de Merville, despite Geraldus's claim of their protection being a necessary evil. It is revealed that the reliquary contains not the remains of the Apostle Matthias, but rather the stone used to martyr him, and that the Pope believes its tremendous power will benefit an upcoming crusade. A larger caravan of armed men, led by Raymond, sets out, escorting the monks to the boat that awaits them in Waterford. Raymond, speaking French, tells the mute laborer that some of his men recognize him as a former crusader. Only Brother Kieran speaks French, and the rest of the monks are left in the dark. En route, the caravan finds that a necessary bridge has been burned, and its guards slaughtered. Raymond takes most of the soldiers with him, leaving the monks with a token guard. The monks continue, but are quickly ambushed by a group of Gaelic warriors, who quickly slaughter the soldiers and several monks. The mute dives to protect the young Diarmid, but is stunned by a rock from a sling. As the Gaels make off with the cart bearing the reliquary, the mute regains consciousness, grabs a sword from a fallen soldier, and quickly kills several of the Gaels, including their chieftain, while the rest scatter in fear. The two surviving monks, Diarmid and the timid Cathal, are astonished, until Geraldus claims the mute's fierce actions as holy wrath on the Gaels for desecrating the reliquary. They choose to follow after the stolen relic, as it is too dangerous to wait for rescue by Raymond's troops. The mute tracks the stolen cart, but finds that the reliquary is gone. He then spots a Gaelic scout, and quietly kills him. They find the Irish camp, but there are too many men to fight. To their dismay, their leader, Brother Ciaran, is tied hostage to a tree. Diarmid insists they rescue Ciaran, but Geraldus insists that their holy duty is to the relic, and not to their comrade, who he believes would also say the same. Diarmid volunteers to sneak into the camp after nightfall, and steal the relic, abandoning the ornate golden reliquary to the Gaels. As he and the mute prepare to sneak into the camp, Raymond and his lieutenants appear. They are there for the relic, as they hired the Gaels to murder the pilgrims, so that King John of England could claim the relic instead of the Pope. He says that King John has become distrustful of his nobles in Ireland, thinking that they are more loyal to their relatives in Normandy, and the King of France, than himself. During their discussion, Diarmid sneaks to Ciaran's side, and attempts to cut his bonds. Brother Ciaran insists the boy let him go. Ciaran, who was driving the cart bearing the reliquary during the ambush, tells Diarmid that he threw the relic from the cart, before he and the cart were taken, and that Diarmid must find the relic, and leave him to his fate. Devastated, Diarmid leaves his mentor behind. The monks watch in horror, as Raymond discovers that the reliquary is empty. Raymond offers Ciaran a quick death, if he tells where the relic has gone. Ciaran refuses, and calls out Jesus' name, as Raymond brutally kills him with a multi-pronged barb. The monks escape, and find the relic near where Brother Ciaran threw it. Geraldus fanatically insists that they continue their pilgrimage, despite their desperate situation. As dawn breaks, and horns sound in the distance, the group sees a fog-shrouded river. Geraldus interprets this as a divine sign, and they race to the river before Raymond and his men can find them. They ford the river, losing their pursuers, until Geraldus shouts back insults at Raymond in French. Raymond replies in English, telling the group that Geraldus is such a fanatic, that he sent his own father to be burned at the stake for heresy. Diarmid pulls the relic out of his sack, and prays to it. The others join him, and before long, they hear distant chiming. The chime is the bell of a river ferry. Geraldus suggests that the mute murder the ferrymen to enable their escape, but Brother Cathal barters with pearls he recovered from when they fell loose of the reliquary. The boat takes them almost to the coast, but as the tide is out, the estuary is too shallow to pass. Behind them, Raymond and his men cross into a clearing on the shore. The ferrymen, realizing their own danger, throw their cargo out of the boat, and all push the boat through the shallows. Geraldus, speaking French, convinces the mute to turn around, and buy the pilgrims time to escape, as God will forgive the former crusaders' sins, no matter how great. Diarmid is crushed, and tries to stop the mute, but Geraldus holds him back as the boat begins to float. The mute takes on Raymond and his men alone, killing several. Raymond's archer fires at the fleeing boat, killing one of the ferrymen. Raymond engages the bare-chested and winded mute, and ultimately gains the upper hand. Raymond stabs the mute with his barbed torture prong, asking where he comes from. The mute responds with his only word of the film, hell. The mute grabs Raymond, and bites him in the throat, severing his artery, leaving him twitching on the ground. He stands up, grabs his sword, and advances on the remaining 3 soldiers. On the boat, Cathal reveals that he was struck with the last arrow, and slumps over. Hearing the clang of swords ashore, Geraldus tells Diarmid that the holy relic will inspire 1,000 men like the mute to holy violence. In disgust, Diarmid moves to throw the relic overboard. Geraldus struggles with him, and goes overboard with the relic, sinking to the ocean floor. The surviving ferryman asks Diarmid where to now, but the novice has no answer. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications and leave a like to help the channel out.